In 2012, Forza Horizon was a risk, yet now it's the only thing left in the franchise.
And I'm here to tell you how that leap of faith took us from Colorado all the way to the sunny shores of Japan.
But let's rewind the clock back to 2012 and work our way back to where we are today.
In 2010, Playground Games was made. It was a spin-off of Turn 10, specifically made for the Horizon series. And well, Turn 10 had well established themselves as some of the best in the racing scene at the time. Xbox set its sights bigger, beyond just racing, to something more, to the car culture in general. And Xbox would leverage the fact that they already had a car game in their roster, Forza Motorsport. So instead of starting from scratch, they took the pre-existing engine known as Forza Tech and tweaked it slightly to work for the Horizon style. Now all that was left was adding the cars, the dialogue, and making the map, of course. Playground Games had no track record of any games prior to Horizon. Luckily, they did have prior experience in the industry in general, but this was a new step for them. They had never worked together on a project, no less one that they would be expected to deliver quite soon. But their problems didn't end there, as motorsport was insanely complex, so they had to keep it on small tracks and delegated areas in order to save on performance. But Horizon meant streaming a massive map in real time, dynamic traffic, AI racers, and a full-on day-night cycle. It was a completely different engineering challenge than any of them had seen prior. And again, remember, this was 2012. Open world racing wasn't dead, but it wasn't exactly dominating. Midnight Club was gone, Burnout Paradise was aging, and Need for Speed, well, it was just inconsistent, with some games being massive hits, and then their sequels absolutely flopping. Another big issue was brand identity. Horizon was obviously quite different from its twin, Motorsport. Horizon injected festival culture, open world driving, scripted rivals, neon wristbands, and, well, the dubstep trailer, because how could I forget that? Which was a very steep departure from the very serious tone that Motorsport brought to the table, as it was trying to compete with Gran Turismo. Knowing all this, people were quite nervous about how Horizon might turn out. After it launched in 2012, it actually went over really well, with critics landing it in the mid to high 80s. But another important detail is why people loved it. Most people said that it kept Forza's driving feel, but it was fun, unlike the serious nature of Motorsport. The balance was the magic trick. It wasn't too chaotic, and it wasn't too sterile. People loved it because it wasn't some generic car game that just threw in cars that were real. It brought the festival theme, the progression system, rivals, and it was a sandbox, but one that was far from empty. Commercially, this game sold so well that Microsoft greenlit a sequel practically immediately, and that tells you quite a bit considering they are quite tight with their money. People didn't praise Horizon 1 because it was gigantic and full of detail. They praised it because it was focused and gave you the vibe that they wanted to convey, one of joy for car culture in general. It was a smaller map, but it had clear progression and a distinct identity, far from the Horizon that we know today. And if you're enjoying the videos so far, please consider dropping a like and subbing for more content like this. But now, let's jump from the USA all the way over to Europe. I'm talking Forza Horizon 2.
Before we go, I just want to thank all of you for helping me get these cars to Horizon. Believe me, it's just a taste of what's to come. This is going to be the summer of our lives.
Forza Horizon 1, for all its perks, had a lot of constraints. Lots of barriers, a pretty small map, more curated progression path than most people enjoyed, but Horizon 2 removed most of the guardrails. It's set across southern Europe, specifically France and Italy. The map was way bigger, more vertical, and significantly more open, introducing us to cross-country racing, and it became a core mechanic. You weren't just following roads the whole time now, you were also cutting through vineyards, fields, and hills. That freedom fundamentally changed the feel of the series. It was also a technical leap. This was the first Horizon built for the Xbox One, and it looked like it. Dynamic weather, better lighting, denser environment. It felt more alive than Horizon 1. ever could. But what really mattered is Horizon 2 kept the soul of the first game. The festival atmosphere was still there, the progression still felt pretty intentional. You still felt like you were working your way through an event, not just existing in a sandbox with nothing to do. Critics again received it extremely well. Review scores were strong again. Players didn't see it as a watered down motorsport. They saw Horizon was finding an identity, one that a lot of people were coming to love. Horizon 2 proved they could make a map bigger in scale without losing the soul, and keep focus on what got them to the success they had attained in the first place. Something they would later forget, thus the series took a serious dive. But we'll get to that later. But for now, Forza Horizon 2 was staking its claim quite well. Horizon 2 also brought along with it a lot of things that we see in Horizon today and take for granted. Seamless online multiplayer was something that Forza Horizon 2 introduced. Instead of having a menu-based clunky online system like most games had at the time, all you had to do in Horizon 2 was shoot your friend an invite and boom, you were in a convoy with them. You could go cruising across the map and not have to worry about spending up to 10-20 minutes trying to figure out how to set up a session lobby. That was a big step towards Horizon becoming social first instead of single player based. Another major thing that was added in Forza Horizon 2 was dynamic weather. Now, rain wasn't just cosmetic. Wet roads were able to change grip in real time, puddles could cause your car to spin out, and it gave the map texture instead of just being static, unlike its predecessor, Forza Horizon 1, which largely was a very static map. Some smaller notable things that Forza Horizon 2 introduced were drivatars being a lot more organic than they were in FH1, as since a lot of people played FH1, they were able to train the model a lot more, as well as the fact that bucket list challenges were introduced. These were curated micro scenarios, specific cars, specific objectives, which have since evolved to the weekly challenges that you see in Forza Horizon 5. So in all aspects, Forza Horizon 2 was simply an expansion of Forza Horizon 1, and its sequel would follow the same footsteps, being Forza Horizon 3. When Forza Horizon 3 launched in 2016, it didn't just expand the formula that Horizon 2 built off, it blew it out of the water. Set in Australia, the map was bigger than Horizon 2 and had more diverse biomes, such as the Outback Desert, the rainforest, some coastal highways, and city streets. It felt massive in scope, but the real shift wasn't the map, it was your role as the player. In Horizon 1 and 2, you were a participant climbing the ranks. In Horizon 3, you were the boss. You ran the festival, you expanded it, you chose event locations, you customized the experience. That sounds relatively simple, but it was huge for the Horizon formula, as it stopped being about proving yourself as a racer and started being about building something. It also leaned harder into freedom. Blueprint events let players customize races. The car list also exploded. More off-road vehicles, more extremes, more everything really. Technically, it looked incredible for the time too, with HDR support and dense environments that actually managed to cripple YouTube compression even to this day. Better skyboxes as well also proved to be quite helpful in selling the whole vibe. Even to this day, many claim that Forza Horizon 3 was the best in the series to date. Even the critics said that Forza Horizon 3 was the best game in the series thus far, mentioning things such as the fact that you could expand the festival physically, made skill chains and XP systems more generous and more thought out. Multiplayer became even more seamless than Forza Horizon 2, as well as the radio stations that toned heavily into the Horizon fantasy, selling people even more on the vibe of Horizon. The previously mentioned blueprints were also a major introduction in FH3, and for the people today who don't know, blueprints were simply a system of which people could create custom routes, and that increased replayability massively, as people weren't just limited to the races that the developers themselves published, but also could play the races that people published. Now, there weren't any fancy props or anything snazzy, but just simply allowing people to place custom checkpoints and routes was enough for people to love. FH3 is considered a fan favorite because it had balance, big but not overwhelming, free but not directionless, rewarding but not inflated. And at this point is where the Horizon series started to take a turn, as the previously mentioned overinflation was something that we saw creep in with 3, and by Horizon 5 had completely blown the door wide open. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Right now, let's focus on the next game in the series, Forza Horizon 4.
Here's what I see. I see a festival that never ends. Where you can be whatever you want to be. It's not your dream holiday anymore. It's your dream life. That's the horizon I see. Let me show you.
Launching in 2018, Forza Horizon 4 was beyond anything we'd seen before, introducing the most major feature that we know today being seasons. For the first time, the entire map transformed each week, summer, autumn, winter, spring, and each one altered driving physics, race availability, and map access. This had some unintended consequences that we later learned, but for now, we're just focused on what they added. Winter wasn't just cosmetic either. Lakes completely froze, roads could ice over, off-road builds mattered more now, and the environment became a gameplay mechanic rather than just something that you were able to look at. Set in Britain, the map was a little bit bigger than Australia, and also more dense. Rolling hills, tight countryside roads, and, well, honestly, a quite dense city meant that a lot of players were quite happy with this game for a decent while. Again, the philosophy of the series shifted. Progression became less structured and more live service, as, yes, again, playlists introduced weekly challenges, rotating content instead of climbing a festival ladder. You were participating in an ongoing calendar. Horizon stopped being like a campaign in the traditional sense and started feeling more like a platform that you had to log on at regular intervals to attain rewards. But the critics loved it, saying the season system was very innovative for the time, and many saw it as Horizon's smartest design leap. But this is also where some players began to feel the inflation of rewards. Wheel spins were more generous, cars became quickly attainable, the grind was softened quite a bit for the average fan. Horizon 4 didn't just expand the map, it expanded the game into something more people could enjoy, but at the cost of the hardcore fans losing that special sense of connection that they once had. They also introduced the shared world design. Forzathon live events were something that was heavily featured in Horizon 4. Granted, they weren't very good, if I'm being honest, and they kind of fell flat, though the idea and concept is quite good. The execution just wasn't very good. And this was my personal introduction to the Forza Horizon series. And because of that reason, this will be the first game that I actually give my opinion on. Horizon 4 to me was very special, and to this day I hold it very high, even with the downfalls of the map and some of the other things such as the mentioned overinflation. For me, Horizon 4 really ticked off a lot of boxes that I do love in a Horizon game. Horizon 5, we'll get to it in a little bit, but boy, it has quite a few issues that Horizon 4 never really had. For me, the graphics in the game were amazing, and things like the sound for cars, as well as the flame effect out of the exhaust was way better in Horizon 4 than any game previously. The map was also very dense and rich with life. Some of the issues that Horizon 4 did have was trying to force things in your face. Forzathon was a pretty big one for me, with the game marketing it pretty heavily, as well as the whole social aspect being marketed a whole lot. Horizon was never quite meant to be a social platform as much as it was meant to be something about cars. and just so happened to feature social aspects where you could connect with others that also shared the passion. With Horizon 4, it started to shift towards the masses. It wasn't a game specifically for people that were interested in cars now, it was a game that was for everybody and just so happened to feature cars, which in all fairness is a great way to maximize profits, because the wider your net, the more people you can get. And looking at it from the outside, you could see that Microsoft was clearly interested in making a quick buck. They never really cared too much about the actual series, just the fact that it was great for pumping out cash every 2 years up until this point. But the aforementioned seasons of Horizon 4 did actually cause quite a few issues, specifically for the more competitive racers out there. Winter became a season that everybody hated, and most people wouldn't play that week because the map was borderline undrivable depending on the cars you like. Some of the roads were completely covered in snow, so you had no grip, versus the summer, which had more warm temperatures, and the competitive players could easily rack up new lap times without having to worry about slick roads. This caused issues because now it was unfeasible to realistically get a new record lap time 3/4 of the month, and you'd have to wait for just a 1-week gap to really dial it in. Most people don't have time for that, and thus people did not appreciate that they had to wait for a specific week to roll around just to rack up a new best. Another major shift was the push for positivity. On the surface that sounds good, but it also leaned into politics, with the rise of political figures influencing how people view things, thus finding disdain for things that otherwise typically would have a mostly positive impact. I'm not here to get into that whole debacle, and I don't take any side in it. I'm just saying it is kind of ironic that the inclusion of, well, inclusivity in Horizon 4 made a lot of people not really like the game. Now, again, I'm not taking any sides, I'm just pointing it out as it is kind of ironic, and it became quite a contentious point in Horizon 4.
I will say, though, that one thing that wasn't very good about this tone shift was the fact that because of the whole positive vibes thing, there was no real antagonist, there was no competitive narrative, it was just good vibes, which kind of falls flat and feels like a corporate shield to anything that they could be sued over, or people could get upset over, which ultimately did backfire on them anyways, so hey, maybe they should just double down on having an antagonist in the game. And with Horizon 6 around the corner, I can confidently say it looks like they are kind of shifting back to the antagonist narrative, with the brief mentioning in their newest blog of there being 2 people that are going to help you set up shop in Japan, thus making me think that hopefully we'll have a narrative similar to something like FH3 in Horizon 6. Horizon 4, though, in all aspects, I would say was a pretty good game.
But with its sequel, Horizon 5, being right around the corner, I guess they just threw all their knowledge out the window because, wow, it was quite bad at launch. And even to this day, people say it is one of the worst Horizon games to date. But I suppose we should shift over to Horizon 5 before we get too deep in the weeds.
Drop zone approaching! Lovely day for a drive!
Set in Mexico, Horizon 5 launched in 2021. Technically, it was stunning. Better lighting, better draw distance, better sound design. It felt like the definitive Horizon experience. But it was a major shift in terms of progression. It became much looser. Instead of climbing the ranks or running the festival, you were unlocking Horizon Adventure chapters at your own pace. You were celebrated almost immediately, as in the introduction, you're renowned as a Horizon superstar. There was no real climb or underdog arc, you just immediately picked up where you left off in Horizon 4, which to an aspect or two was kind of interesting, but with what they did in the story, it felt pretty flat because you had no real goals or anything to shoot for. Since you were already the top dog and nobody was challenging you, it was all about good vibes. The map was much bigger and the car list was massive. It didn't feel more meaningful though. In fact, it kind of felt hollow because since there was no meaning behind the story, it didn't feel special getting any cars, no matter what they were. But to a degree, it was nice to see the introduction of things like Event Lab, as people in the community could start creating their own maps, which I think partially helped the longevity of the game and kept it somewhat alive even to this day. The seasonal system carried forward, but it was honestly a lot worse than Horizon 4. Horizon 4 was known to recycle cars from previous games, but Horizon 5 took it to a whole new degree. For a solid couple years, we only saw a few brand new to Forza Horizon cars, and most of the cars that we did get were ripped straight from Horizon 4 or games prior without even being updated and or changed at all. They just stayed in the exact same state they were in from the previous game, such as if the car sounded incorrect or there was a graphical bug, it just carried over and they didn't bother updating it. Multiplayer was abysmal at launch. I remember the first month or so the game was out, it was pretty hit or miss if you were actually going to be able to be in an online session. Most of the time the game just forced you into offline because the servers just simply could not handle the amount of players. Technically that isn't their fault, they just didn't expect so many people, but I will still fault them because they do have Microsoft as their overlords and they could have simply just asked for more hardware space, and I'm sure they would have gladly given it to them if it meant getting a profit. Horizon 5 was optimized at least and ran quite well, especially for PC players. I don't know necessarily about launch, but at least now when I play the game I get a solid 180 FPS, which is far better than Horizon 4. But it didn't take any risks. FH1 took quite a few and it paid off. People loved the game, but Horizon 5, well, it did succeed because of the marketing and the fact that it was on Game Pass. To a lot of us people in the community, it felt pretty hollow and shallow. There was nothing exciting about the game and it just felt like corporate slop for the sake of getting more money. And this is why even to this day I maintain the position that Horizon 5 was honestly just a filler game. They were told that they need to keep Xbox One support, and they were like, well, then how are we gonna make a good game? And so they just kind of gave up halfway through and decided to make a game that was decent, not great, not amazing, but people would maybe play it for a little while. So that's kind of my theory, and to be clear, there is no evidence to say that that is actually what happened, but that is my own speculation because I simply don't understand why they would take a step back after Horizon 4 if they saw the mistakes they made. And on that, Horizon 5 didn't introduce any new mechanics really. It was all about the same, and the only thing they really added was maybe turbo lag, which is mediocre at best, and launch control, which is kinda nice, but again, pretty simple, so nothing crazy. Personally, I thought Horizon 5 was quite good, maybe a bit boring at times, but it is fun to cruise around and just kind of enjoy the driving experience, even if the game isn't the best story-wise or progression-wise. I do have to say personally that it is pretty good for just cruising around if you enjoy cars, but if you like to look at the scenery or if you're enveloped in the story, then yeah, it was pretty bad and most people didn't like it at all. So I will say that in most aspects on that degree, it was pretty bad. Another thing to add is Horizon 5 also revealed something else about the series, that for the first time, Horizon didn't feel like it was trying to prove anything because it felt established, but not in a good way. Established in the sense that there was no competition, so there's no reason for them to really try anymore because they know that nobody else is even going to get close, so they already won and they're at the finish line. So with that, they know that even if they release the worst game, it's like Call of Duty. It doesn't matter how bad the game is, people will still buy it because it's their only option. Call of Duty, lesser so now though because of the fact that things like Battlefield 6 have happened. And hopefully we see something in the car scene soon similar, because obviously with Horizon, if things don't improve, I'm gonna be worried that it's just gonna fall down the same trap of we get a new game every couple years and it's just kinda mediocre, not great, not amazing, just playable for maybe a few hundred hours, and then you don't ever want to play it again. And I hope that doesn't happen because I love Horizon, but with a new head of Xbox and the fact that Microsoft controls Horizon technically, it doesn't look super bright, and so it worries me quite a bit. But I just hope that I'm not the only one. Before I get too pessimistic, I guess we should look at the future and shift over to Forza Horizon 6. And now we arrive at Forza Horizon 6, not as a finished game, but more as a question. Because for over a decade, Horizon has followed a clear path. Each entry got bigger, with more cars, larger maps, more freedom, but also more systems in place. And with Horizon 5, it feels like that path has kind of reached its low point. So where does Horizon go from here? I mean, it can't just be bigger than Horizon 5, because clearly size isn't everything that matters in a Forza Horizon game. It can't just have more cars because there's already hundreds, and it can't just look better because the visual leap gets smaller with each generation at this point. No, the thing that Horizon needs is purpose, because what made the original Horizon special wasn't its size, it was its structure, its progression, the feeling that you were climbing towards something, an end goal if you will. Over time, Horizon has evolved into something broader though, more open, more accessible, but less defined because of that. So Horizon 6 isn't just another sequel, it's a turning point, not for how big Horizon can get, but for what Horizon is supposed to be. And I hope that they take that initiative and hopefully dial in the sense of purpose. And maybe, just maybe, forget about the broader audience and focus on us, the car people, the people who Horizon was originally meant for, the people that will always enjoy a good car game. And so I guess that's our conclusion. Maybe not the most bright or the most awe-inspiring, but one that certainly hits home, one that is true. The point that Horizon just needs to go back to its roots. Catering to the masses isn't a good thing, and if they didn't learn that with Horizon 5, then I'm sorry to say that this might be the end of the series. But hey, that's just my opinion, and let me know what you guys think down below, because I do read all your comments. But hey, welcome to the end of the video, and if you made it this far and you're not subbed already, please consider doing so and liking the video if you haven't already. And if you want to become a member, honestly, it would mean a whole lot. I'm not trying to beg, and only do it if you have the means, but I have a strong suspicion this video won't be monetized because of the songs in it. So hope you guys enjoyed, but that'll be it from me. Anyways, peace.